My name is Isabel Cosio Carballo. I'm the Executive Director of the South Florida Regional Council. Well, my duties as Executive Director are to advance the policies of the board. We have a public-private partnership. Our board consists of elected officials from Miami-Dade, Broward, and Monroe counties, as well as governor's appointees, and they're very engaged. The role of the Regional Council is to focus on regional issues, right? So as director, I have to do a couple of things. I have to obviously keep the office running. In other words, there's all the professionals, things that you have to do as part of managing an agency. And I also work with my staff to make sure that we're elevating issues of regional importance to our board and as well as our external stakeholders, so that we all have an opportunity to learn together and work together on addressing these issues. I actually joined the council in 1996. I was at the time working as a lobbyist for Broward County Intergovernmental Affairs, working on environmental issues. And I was offered a very unique and special opportunity to come and work with the council on Eastward Ho. Eastward Ho, you may recall, is the urban sides of Everglades restoration. It came out of the Governor's Commission for Sustainable South Florida that had been created by Charles, and that was one of these really great regional efforts to think about Everglades restoration comprehensively. Because what we saw at that time was that the majority of growth in the region, the new growth coming in, was going westward into wetlands and areas that were needed for water supply and Everglades restoration. So Eastward Ho was conceived as one of 110 recommendations for supporting Everglades restoration by looking at the urban side of Everglades restoration. So the Eastward Ho initiative sought to work with the region's municipalities, and again, public, private, all the different types of partners to revitalize our historic urban corridor that would run up along Henry Flagler's Railroad.
What year was this?
I began working, the Governor's Commission for Sustainable South Florida report, that report came out in 1995, and I began working at the council on that project in 1996. I have a legislative background, so I worked in legislative and public affairs. Again, I was the Eastward Ho Regional Coordinator. I was also the liaison and assistant to, I would say, providing technical as professional support to the South Florida Regional Business Alliance, which is a very interesting partnership that I'd like to talk to you about later. I also, worked on a variety of different projects, but I would say legislative, public affairs, director of public affairs, Eastward Ho Regional Coordinator, and most recently I spearheaded the development of the Southeast Florida Regional Partnership and the development of the application to the HUD Sustainable Communities Program. That was my work. I've always had an interest in the environment and, again, as we discussed earlier, the history of South Florida, the beautiful resources of South Florida, the people of South Florida. And one of the things that's, and I always liked trying to make sure that we're taking care of our environment. And I found a lot of people that share that interest. So, but I have broad interests. I also have a deep interest in communities and how do you create a strong economy and how do you create jobs and opportunity and how do you connect people to opportunity so everybody has the ability to contribute and maximize their potential. So I have a lot of interest, but I did do a lot of lobbying in the area of environmental issues, and what we know is that everything is connected. So you cannot talk about the environment without speaking about communities, without speaking about the economy, and equity and access to opportunity. All these things work together, and if you try to separate them, it just doesn't work. Southeast Florida is doing a lot. I mean, and so let me be clear. So our region, there's 10 regional councils in the state. There used to be 11, but we were reorganized last year. So there are 10 councils in the state. Our region for our board is Monroe, Miami-Dade, and Broward. Then the Treasure Coast Council is Palm Beach, Martin, St. Lucie, and Indian River.
But you are Monroe, Miami-Dade, and Broward.
Yes, but there's that line, there's a saying that says lines only matter to map makers and politicians. And there's a lot of overlap between the regions. So for example, The metropolitan statistical area is Miami-Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach. Eastward Ho was a 6-county initiative, and that was, again, 20 years ago already.
Yeah.
So we have a long history of working regionally. I think what is unique about Southeast Florida, as a dear friend of mine, Julia Trevarthen, used to say, she was a longtime employee of the council, is that we're sort of an accidental region. We are long, linear. Our 7-county region is 295 miles. And so what happens is this: when we started growing, we were, separate communities, and we literally grew into each other. And that's why I say it's accidental. It's not like a region that you have a center city and everything grows around it, right?
Yeah.
So I think that we are still, learning to work as a region. Because that's where we've mostly done. But there are there's many promising examples of how we are working regionally.
Okay.
So you have the Southeast Florida Climate Compact. You have the South Florida Water Management District is a 16-county initiative, collaboration, right? But I'm saying for local government, so you have Life Sciences South Florida. That is a 6-7-county partnership as well that's headed by our universities and our colleges and our economic development professionals. You have the Southeast Florida Transportation Council, which is a regional collaboration of Miami-Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach MPOs, the Metropolitan Planning Organizations. So, and like that, we have the Brownfields Partnership. That's also a tri-county partnership. So we do have experience in working together. The Regional Business Alliance, that's a very powerful voice that needs to be strengthened. That is the top business leaders from our region. They were responsible for getting the dedicated funding source for the South Florida Regional Transportation Authority and Tri-Rail. Without that business leadership, that would not have happened. So I think that is a very promising sign of our region. And I think what we as the Regional Council need to be doing, and it's our job to do, is to make sure that we have all these thought leaders and these people of goodwill who are working very hard, again, in philanthropy and government and the business sector and all these different places, to bring them together. And that's something that the Regional Council, because of our regional perspective, really does well. So yes, it's a very promising time, and I think there's room for improvement.
Yeah.
But definitely there are a lot of people committed to working together across jurisdictional lines. Eastward Ho was a groundbreaking initiative.
Okay.
I think that the State Road 7 Collaborative was also the State Road 7 US 441 Revitalization Collaborative.
What is it called?
It was State Road 7 US 441 Collaborative. Yes, actually that was a collaboration of communities along State Road 7 that went from just south of Palm Beach to into Miami-Dade County. That was actually started by a local government initiative, but then the council came in and really sort of took that to the next level to consider how would these communities along this #1 transit corridor revitalize in light of the DOT. There was a widening project that's going on now. These things are planned way ahead of time. Yeah. So part of it was trying to figure out, okay, there's this investment coming into this corridor. How do local governments work together with DOT, the MPOs, and other partners, community members, to create a new opportunity for these communities? And actually, we partnered with our sister agency, the Treasure Coast Regional Planning Council, and there were a series of charrettes that community-based workshops that really led to the development of plans. Congressman Alcee Hastings was a hero. He secured $2 million of funding to help support this initiative. And so now there is a real cohesive vision for State Road 7, for a good part of State Road 7. So it's always it takes a long time to move things along, but you can go to State Road 7 corridor now, and it's a much, you can see that things are happening along that corridor.